Hello everyone and welcome to Don't Be Bored. Today I'm really proud to be able to preview for you Earth Kingdom, the latest expansion for Earth. And, well, it might be obvious, but this is very much a prototype. So please be aware that there will be, or maybe, changes from what I have been playing to the final version. But let's jump into what Animal Kingdom adds. Well, animals, but what do they do? How do they work? Let's go over that, and then I'll give you my pros, my cons, and what I think about Earth Animal Kingdom. So what's the most important thing in the box? Well, it's the animal cards and the animal meeples, of course. There are a few other little bits like a scoring pad and some extra sprouts and canopy pieces, but this is all about the animals, right? So there are 36 double-sided animal cards. On one side of them, they are global abilities, and we'll touch on those in a minute. On the reverse, they are sort of player powers that you are going to be able to utilise. At the start of the game, you're going to shuffle the animal deck and draw one, looking at its global effects, its global abilities, and that is going to be triggered once every round by all players. Basically, it triggers when the final person taking a turn in the round passes the active player marker back to whoever started the game, whoever went first and has that first player marker. At this point, you are going to be triggering whatever that global effect is, and these range from cool things where you get choices, an A, B or C, maybe an A, B, C or D, of what you are triggering. Maybe cashing some sprouts in for some soil, or maybe even triggering one of the different minor effects of the normal green, red, blue and yellow abilities. However, at the beginning of the game, as well as sorting out that global effect, you're also going to be drafting the animals that you're going to be picking from. So everyone gets 4 animal cards, and you can have a look at what those are. You will then pick one of those and pass the rest on clockwise round the table. You're going to be trying to obviously hold on to the best ones. You'll get some from the next person sitting next to you. You again pick one and pass 2 on, and you'll be then finally given 2. You don't draft anywhere past that. So you'll then have 4 cards again. You'll have drafted 2 of them and been given 2. From those 4, you're either going to pick 1 or 2 of those animals to take with you into the game as your animals. And that's going to be dependent on if you're doing a beginner game, having 1, or an advanced game where you get 2 of them. The ones you picked, you're going to grab the animal meeples, adding meeples from the box for those ones, and just put them on the cards for now, and return all the other cards and meeples back to the box. So as the game goes on, you're going to be triggering that global ability once around when it passes back to the starting player. But when do you get to trigger your animals, those 1 or 2 that you have sort of drafted and picked at the beginning of the game? Well, they don't actually trigger too early on, because it's normally when you are using one of your leaves. Those leaves are those marker things that you are going to be either putting onto the scoreboard to say, I've done this one of these 4 objectives, or even I've finished my grid and getting that bonus. Now, if you're an abundance player, in terms of having Earth Abundance, the first expansion, there is a little thing in there that lets you spend one of those leaves for a seed. Well, this also triggers those animal abilities. When you use that leaf to score that objective, say, that's when you get to trigger your animals. And you can trigger 1 if you've only got 1, or if you've got 2, you can choose 1, both, and if you do both, which order you trigger them. These abilities are, well, they're all a bit different, as you may assume. Some will put your animal meeple onto one of the sort of trees or fauna in your tableau, and it will stay there for the rest of the game, doing something, maybe giving that tree an ability that when you activate it, it will trigger, or perhaps it will be something like move this animal around your tableau, potentially putting sprouts on the cards that it moves on. There's even things that remove either sprouts or growth from cards in your tableau and stores them somewhere for later. Mostly going to be giving you an additional way to score points at the end of the game. And well, that is what Animal Kingdom adds. It adds those animals, it adds the meeples that you're going to be actually utilising, moving them either round your tableau, putting them somewhere specific in your tableau, and then them giving abilities based on either what you do, where they're placed, that sort of thing. So that's how Animal Kingdom plays, but should you be adding this to your collection and your Earth experience? For me, it's a definite yes, but there are some things that I think others may not vibe with quite as much as me. So let's go over some pros and cons. The first thing that I think I should stress is that a lot of the abilities aren't actually going to be triggering straight away. It certainly is dependent on what global ability is in play and your animals, but a lot of it isn't going to be happening from round one. Looking at some of the global abilities, for instance, the Asian elephant, well, that is only looking at when you have growth of those tree trunks at 4 or above and taking the canopy piece off it to score big points at the end of the game. That's cool, and if you can build that up, you can certainly rack up a hell of a lot of points from it. But, beginning of the game, do you have anything in your tableau? Straight away, no. Second of all, even if you do have something down, can it grow the tree trunks tall enough for you and that elephant to be taking those canopy pieces off? So you can see straight away that in that sort of experience, that global ability won't be triggering until probably halfway through the game. Conversely, one of the monkey abilities when it's the global side is, well, everyone gets to take one of the minor actions. So normally when you say take the plant action, you do something and everyone else gets the secondary minor action, the follow action. Basically, the monkey's power, the global one, is when it transitions back to the start player, everyone gets to do one of those follow minor actions. That's just pretty cool and does happen from the very sort of first round. So depending on those like the parameters and the abilities, well, the experience doesn't necessarily change from round one. It might not be till halfway through the game that you're actually starting to see things from this expansion take hold. This is kind of doubled down by the fact that one of the best ways of doing and triggering your animals and their abilities is by scoring one of the 4 objectives or finishing your grid. Well, you're not going to be finishing your grid very early on in the game, so again, by triggering one of those abilities, that's when you get to do 1 or 2 of your animals. So again, it's not super early on, you do need to sort of build up towards them. But you can build up towards them, and this is one of the things that I love about it, but I'm not sure everyone will. I absolutely love it in a game where you get what I think is like this big turn. You get this big payoff for doing things in the right way, and you get this huge turn where you get to trigger this, trigger that, and I like that in Earth. But why I can see others maybe not liking it with the animal side of things is I've got my tableau built up in this certain way, I've scored this objective, now I also get to do 1 or even 2 different animals, so I'm having a really big turn and other people may not be. So let's say I've just planted the last mushroom plant that is then going to be triggering an objective. Well, maybe the plant action for others is pretty rapid and they're not triggering too many things, but I'm also now triggering my animals. So it just means I've got a big turn, which I love, but other people around the table lose that sort of simultaneousness about Earth, which a lot of people love that about Earth, that it's like, right, on your turn, I'm doing something, and then it's really quick round the table, turn, 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 turn. There can be little pauses when it's like, okay, I've done my stuff on my tableau, I'm scoring that objective, now I've got to trigger my animals. So can you just wait before you take your turn? I like it because it's a big turn, but it does add a couple of little pauses. Like maybe if you love, that's the best thing about Earth, is that it's all simultaneous. I'm doing something always. There's no seconds of downtime. There's a few seconds of downtime. There's not masses. You're not going to be waiting for minutes, but there are some little bits where someone's triggering their animals and you're just having to wait for them. One surprising thing about this expansion is that it doesn't include any fauna or flora stuff. And I feel like, yes, this is Animal Kingdom. There's an animal on the box, right? But it's also an Earth expansion. I'd love there to have been just a few more cards, or objective cards, or even just like you're starting like volcano island cards. I would have liked a few of those to be included, even though, yes, this is all about adding those animals, the animal cards, the animal meeples, and how they move and interact. But I would like to have seen a few more just plants or stuff included, be that objectives or flora. I'd have liked a little bit of that included as well. I think it might be interesting to some of you out there who want to play this expansion, but how does it work with abundance? I've played it without, and to be honest, I think I prefer it with abundance. I think I would always normally play Earth with abundance in there, and I think when you're playing with abundance and Earth Kingdom, the way that you can spend one of your leaves for a seed and trigger your animals early on in the game just adds a little bit more oomph. Now, it does say in the rulebook that you can just discard a leaf to trigger your animals, but being able to spend a leaf for a seed, which is a resource in its own, and trigger your animals, that just feels quite a bit better to me. For those without abundance, there are 2 cards out of the 36, so 2 animals out of the 36 that are abundance specific. They are highlighted, certainly on the prototype there's like a little A on them, making it super obvious, but I think that's really nice that actually, well, like 95% or whatever that is, they work just with Earth. And then if you have abundance, there are a couple of cards there that you can utilise as well. I think it's a good amount. I certainly don't like it when expansions go, oh, you need basically the base game and this other expansion to use half the content. No, here you can't use 2 of the 36 animals if you only have Earth. So I like that. I think it's certainly not a slap in the face to just Earth owners, so I have to call that out as a positive. I know it's a prototype, but it is hard not to talk about the components. I really like the way they've depicted the animals. There are certainly some really cute ones. They go from small to big, obviously not quite to scale. There's some insects that are definitely not as big as like an elephant's head, but the elephant is definitely like a bigger meeple than like the red panda. So there is a little bit of scaling, then it makes it feel cool. And again, I think they all look really nice. Again, it's prototype components, so I can't say too much. A nice little touch that they've added to those animals. So when you're drafting them, you can sort of advise new players to follow this, is they have a difficulty rating. They've got a 1, 2 or 3 star, and I wouldn't ever say like, oh, this is the first time you're playing with this expansion, don't touch the 2 or 3 stars. It's more that they are timing based. And what I mean by that is there's the sort of 1-star ones where it's just like, move this animal and whatever flora or fauna it goes on, maybe you get a sprout or a bit of growth or something like that. And it's like, yep, you can do that and you get a bonus for it. You're getting effectively something that's going to score you points. There's other ones, however, you just need to time them a little bit. For instance, maybe it's move onto a card with this symbol or this type, be it tree, mushroom, that sort of thing, and maybe spend some sprouts to get something. Those are a little bit trickier because it means you have to have lined it up so when you score that objective, you have that set up. And I think that's what it means by the difficulties, so don't be put off by those. But it's also maybe a good idea to suggest to someone for the first time playing with Animal Kingdom, well, don't go for 2, 3-star animals in the advanced mode. Maybe just go for a 1-star and a 2-star. Or maybe even just 1 2-star and go with the beginner's mode where you just get 1 animal. I can't talk to you about how worth it this expansion is to you. I think if you play Earth enough, it's a fantastic way to add freshness to it. I love the different animal meeples, I love the animal cards, and it's like, oh, this game, we've got this global effect that's going to be triggering every round, and those can make quite a difference. Be that a brand new scoring method, or maybe it's just giving us a different way to get soil or sprouts or growth from any other game. And again, there's 36 different animals, so that's 36 different global effects that could be triggering, so you can play a lot of games and that be different. Then there's the fact that you're going to be drafting those animals and picking one or two for you to be using throughout the game. I love the fact that they give you big turns. I love the advanced mode where you can try and combo the two abilities a little bit as well. And it just gives you, for me, that big turn where you feel like, yes, I've scored that objective and I'm getting a little bonus for it as well from my animals. Yes, that's really cool. I love that they are highlighted with difficulties, so you can sort of suggest to brand new players, or at least new players with this expansion, go for an easier one. And I've really enjoyed playing with Animal Kingdom, and I'm going to ditch the insert for my Earth copy to make sure it all fits into the base game box, which for me is an extra positive because it doesn't take up any more shelf space. A absolutely awesome little expansion. Hopefully this has helped you know if it would be an expansion for you. Let us know in the comments section below if this has helped. Give a thumbs up for Earth being an awesome game and there being some cute animal meeples. And until next time, have a fantastic Earth Day.